Tennessee.
Good evening. I'm Howard K. Smith in New York.
I'm Harry Reasoner. These are tonight's headlines. Senator McGovern campaigns in New York and Pennsylvania, then flies to California in a final bid for the big state vote. President Nixon spends the day in San Clemente preparing a recorded speech for nationwide television tonight. The North Vietnamese say the U.S. buildup of South Vietnamese military strength threatens the signing of a ceasefire agreement. And Britain's Prime Minister Heath freezes prices and wages in an attempt to control inflation. Howard?
Reports tonight from Bill Zimmerman on the wind-up of Sergeant Shriver's campaign, Bill Gill on Vice President Agnew's call for law and order the day before the vote, Frank Reynolds interviewing Senator McGovern on days past and days ahead, Frank Mariano on the big American buildup of South Vietnamese military supplies, Peter Jennings on the letter bomb war in the Middle East, and tonight's comment on politics by consent, orderly succession in government, and the vote. Harry?
3 of the 4 candidates making up the 2 major presidential tickets wound up their campaigns today with a full schedule of public appearances and speeches. George McGovern was particularly active, seeking votes from New York to California in the face of a multitude of indicators that his Democratic candidacy would end in dismal defeat. President Nixon, keeping to his relatively non-active role, remained at the Western White House where he recorded an election eve TV broadcast. We have reports on the candidates, beginning with ABC's Herbert Kaplow on the McGovern day.
McGovern began the day with a walk along New York City's Fifth Avenue. Then to Philadelphia. At the airport, there was the briefest passing of a McGovern adversary, Vice President Agnew flying in his quest for Pennsylvania's 27 electoral votes. McGovern spoke in downtown Philadelphia shortly after noon.
Let us look ahead to the day when the air of this country will not only be free from pollution and waste, but that air will be freed from doubt and hatred and suspicion and fear. Those are the great enemies of our country. Let us try to influence the course of our fellow mortals around the world, not simply by the strength of our arms alone, but by the force of our example and by the power of our ideals. I believe we want and must have a president who will summon this nation to a higher standard and rekindle the American purpose. I believe you're going to express that tomorrow in the privacy of that voting booth. I believe we are going to prevail. Thank God, and bless you all.
By the end of today, McGovern will have made another personal reach for the electoral votes of the nation's 3 largest states. New York this morning, Pennsylvania this afternoon, California tonight. And then he'll go home to await the results, home to South Dakota where it all began. Herbert Kaplow, ABC News, with the McGovern campaign in Philadelphia.
This is Bill Zimmerman aboard the Shriver campaign plane. Predictably, for a candidate who has put in more than 80,000 miles during the past 12 weeks, Sergeant Shriver is spending most of this last day traveling. Down the stairs he came for the last times, into the small groups of officials waiting to wish him a final good luck. It began in Pittsburgh with an informal birthday party for daughter Maria, 17 today.
Happy birthday to you.
And there Shriver sounded the Democrats' main hope for tomorrow.
In the last 10 days here in Allegheny County, he has noticed a tremendous swing by the Democrats back into the Democratic Party. As they get closer and closer to the moment of truth, when they get closer and closer to the realization they're going to go into a booth and look up there and see a lever, and next to the lever is going to be the name of Nixon, as they get closer and closer to that, they decide that they can't pull that lever.
Shriver has a few minor regrets about his campaign, but generally feels positive about the way it's gone. Though there has been an apparent shortage of money and organization in the Shriver campaign, there has been no shortage of light moments. The official mascot still waddles through the plane and shows up at functions, and the campaign kazoo chorus still occasionally strikes up the Marine hymn to shepherd the Secret Service agents off the plane at stops along the way. Bill Zimmerman, ABC News, on the final leg of the Shriver campaign.
the Agnew campaign, it was the beginning of the last day. Between radio phone calls aboard his plane, Agnew said that he is satisfied with the results of that campaign, that he succeeded in talking about the issues and avoiding any response to McGovern's various charges. He arrived in Philadelphia to address the Fraternal Order of Police. An adoring audience of more than 1,000 policemen heard him once again blister the elitist and the philosophers of dissent.
I'd like to leave you with this thought. Don't for 1 second think that what you have done and what you are doing has been ignored or forgotten. Don't for 1 second believe that the elitist sneers and the scorn of fashionable revolutionaries have won the day. Their influence is diminishing in this country. So when I say to all of you, thank you for your continuing dedication to law and justice and civility, I speak not only for myself, but for the President as well.
With the leisure that has marked his comfortable schedules of the past, Mr. Agnew flew on to Richmond, Virginia for a wind-up rally tonight, confident of victory, planning a king-size celebration party for tomorrow. Bill Gill, ABC News, with the Agnew campaign.
This is Tom Jarrell at the California White House. The Republican presidential candidate spent election eve in the privacy of the White House compound on the Pacific shore at San Clemente. An unusually large contingent of newsmen who have signed up to observe the closing days of the Nixon campaign today found little more to see than one another. Press Secretary Ron Ziegler reported Mr. Nixon was working with staff members and would tape a final television appearance for air tonight. Newsmen who had been told by Ziegler earlier there might be another Nixon news conference before the voting were disappointed to realize there will be none. Instead, Mr. Nixon is spending the final hours before the balloting back in the political posture which has characterized his campaign, that of a working incumbent who seemingly is so unconcerned about his Democratic opponent, he has never even mentioned McGovern by name. Tomorrow, President and Mrs. Nixon will vote at an elementary school near their home. Then they'll fly back to Washington to see if the political good fortune which seems to be theirs is confirmed at the polls. Tom Jarrell, ABC News at the California White House.
Candidate Shriver, after his speech-making, planned to spend the evening at the Texas ranch of former President Johnson.
If the motels you choose always seem the same, you haven't tried Quality Inns. Every Quality Inn is different. Different rooms, decor. Even totally different restaurants. Quality Inns. Something different under every Quality Sunburst sign. For reservations at any of our 32,000 rooms, call toll-free.
Today I went shopping for a pair of shoes. One pair of shoes. Well, I found these little clunky suede bump toes that I loved. And these crinkle platform boots for only $20.
Very nice.
How do you like these? Hiking boots.
Very nice.
And these soft ones. And these for Saturday night, $14.99. Or maybe these.
Wow, you must have been in every shoe store in town.
I wasn't in any shoe store. I was in JCPenney.
The JCPenney shoe. We know what you're looking for.
The leading political polls show President Nixon with a massive lead over Senator McGovern on the eve of elections. A Lewis Harris survey shows the president ahead by 59 to 35%, with 6% undecided. The latest Gallup poll shows 61% for Nixon to 35% for McGovern, with 3% undecided and 1% for other candidates. There's some evidence that this year's election may produce the heaviest number of absentee ballots ever, with the state of California getting the largest share. ABC's Dick Shoemaker has been looking into absentee balloting in California and filed this report.
Across the nation and here in California, more people this year will vote before the polls open than ever before. These are the absentee voters who, for one reason or another, can't be at their precincts tomorrow. The Democrats claim 8 million Americans will cast absentee ballots this election, and McGovern Forces claims there could be enough votes there to contribute to an upset. In Los Angeles County, the registrar reports a 10% increase in absentee ballots by mail, but he says there's no way of knowing who the votes are for until the polls close tomorrow night. The envelopes with red stripes were sent by servicemen and women. This year, changes in the election laws and the 18-year-old vote means more of the military away from home will cast their ballots in absentia. In Orange County, a GOP stronghold, there's been a 27% increase in absentee ballots. The Democrats hope this reflects the results of their registration drive. The Republicans counter by saying more voters are simply aware of the convenience of casting their ballots at home. It all adds up to more people than ever before using absentee ballots, with the two parties arguing which way the voters have decided to go.
The McGovern workers are hoping that many of those who are casting absentee ballots are the new voters, the young, the black, the Mexican Americans, and that they will vote for George McGovern. However, a pre-election survey here in California showed that the new voters are dividing much the same way the rest of the nation is. And the polls say that's for Richard Nixon. Dick Shoemaker, ABC News, in Los Angeles.
ABC News has invited both President Nixon and Senator McGovern to sit down and be interviewed by our correspondents at several points during the campaign. The White House has declined such invitations. Senator McGovern has generally made himself available. In a final summing up of the campaign, McGovern gave ABC's Frank Reynolds this view.
Senator, are you ready for whatever happens on Tuesday?
Oh, yes, I'm ready for it. I'm confident we're going to win on Tuesday, but no matter how it turns out, it's been a great and glorious and heart-stirring experience for us, and we'll abide cheerfully by the results.
Well, you know, you did cause a bit of a stir by suggesting that it might be difficult for you to give the usual rally round the winner speech in the event you lose.
Well, that really isn't what I meant. I don't mean any ill will towards the president. What I was trying to say is that I think the leader of the loyal opposition has some responsibility that goes beyond simply asking everybody to support the policies of the president. If you feel that those policies are leading the nation on the wrong course, you have some patriotic obligation to point out why, and not simply say, now let's everybody rally around and agree with everything that comes out of the White House. There have been too many reasons for us not to agree.
I think many people have the impression, Senator, or the conviction that you're coming on strong, but also not fast enough. What do you think turned it around?
I think literally millions of people have suddenly realized that the president was manipulating the war and the timetable to suit his own political purposes here at home. They saw some of the same deception that they had seen in the handling of special interest cases here domestically. Suddenly that same kind of political manipulation take over, even with reference to the lives of their sons and the great issues of war and peace. And it's on that basis that I think Mr. Nixon's going to be rejected at the polls on Tuesday.
So you're ending the campaign, really, on the issue with which most Democrats thought you would campaign this year, the issue of the president's personality, his character.
Well, it's not just, yes, it's really that. It's the issue of presidential leadership. I'd prefer to word it that way. The question of whether the president is really leveling with the American people. Beyond that, is he taking responsibility for his own acts? Or is he trying to shift that burden to other people? And that's the real test. Do we have a president who has taken responsibility for the failures, for the acts of his administration, or has he shifted it to others?
Senator, what has moved you most in this campaign? Has it been the faith that people have in you, or those little conversations with the wives of prisoners?
Well, there's so many experiences, it's really impossible to say which one is the most moving. After a telecast a few nights ago, I got a letter from a 27-year-old man, and he said, for the first time in my life, as one who belongs to the God is dead generation and America is bad generation, he said, for the first time, I'm really proud of America. He said, I really sense a feeling of nationalism and pride in this country. And then he enclosed a contribution to the campaign. He said, I'm investing this not in you, I'm investing it in myself, so that when I wake up in the morning after the election, I can be proud to live in this country. I think things like that have moved me more deeply than the size of the crowds or anything else.
When you wake up the morning after the election, no matter what happens, you're still going to be proud to live in this country?
I'll still be proud. I'll still love the American people. I'll still love this country. and I'll still have faith in its essential decency.
Thank you, Senator.
ABC News' complete election coverage will begin with reports from our election headquarters on tomorrow night's evening news.
The modern Roman, like his ancient counterpart, has brio, a zest for living, a flair for sport, a passion for pleasure. Brio, now it can be yours with Roman Brio. Roman Brio 1, aftershave. Roman Brio 2, cologne. For modern centurions who want to make history. Roman Brio.
Sorry I'm late, honey.
It's okay. Sit down and relax. I'll fix your dinner.
How do you do it? You work all day, you cook dinner for the kids, and now me, and look at you. You're incredible.
Well, I take care of myself. I exercise, eat right, and to make sure I get enough iron and vitamins...
You take Geritol every morning.
And you should, too.
Geritol. More than twice the iron of ordinary supplements, plus 7 vitamins. Take care of yourself. Take Geritol.
Honey, you think you'll keep me?
North Vietnam accused President Nixon today of delaying a tentative peace agreement so that additional war supplies can be rushed to Saigon. A Radio Hanoi broadcast referred specifically to additional aircraft sent to the South Vietnamese government. The broadcast said, "This act of war runs counter to the spirit and contents of the agreement, which should be signed now. It also threatens to break the agreement." In an interview yesterday, Defense Secretary Laird said the North Vietnamese are also moving increased supplies southward. Laird said the U.S. supply buildup should enhance negotiations by ensuring the security of the Saigon government. The buildup includes cargo planes that are being provided to the South Vietnamese for the first time. ABC's Frank Mariano has a report from Vietnam.
The large C-130 cargo planes poured into Saigon's Tan Son Nhut Air Base at the rate of 7 and 8 a day. No sooner were they on the ground when South Vietnamese Air Force acceptance crews stood by ready to claim them. The American crews flying them here were Air Force reservists and Air National Guardsmen from all around the United States. These from Texas, New York, California, Louisiana, Illinois, and Minnesota. One of them said the order to load and fly their planes here to South Vietnam came as a surprise to some, and within a few days, they were on their way to Saigon. It was instant Vietnamization. A sweep of a spray gun rid the plane of U.S. markings. In its place, the flag of South Vietnam, and the transfer of a $3 million airplane was complete. In all, 32 of the cargo planes had arrived as part of the first increment. The Hercules, as the C-130 is known, is only one of several types of American planes to pour into the country. All are part of the rush to stockpile war materials before a possible ceasefire. And in the process, South Vietnam's Air Force was fast taking its place as one of the largest in the world. The planes are here, but South Vietnamese pilots have not yet been checked out in them. That will no doubt be the job of civilian instructor pilots, should all U.S. military personnel have to leave in a hurry. And we're told civilian instructors are already beginning to arrive here. Frank Mariano, ABC News at Saigon's Tan Son Nhut Air Base.
In fighting in South Vietnam today, 4 Americans were reported killed, another wounded, when 3 U.S. helicopters were shot down near Da Nang. On the ground, communist gunners shelled the Pleiku Air Base in the Central Highlands, but only sporadic fighting was reported elsewhere.
Coffee, Pete? Wish I could, but coffee stains my dentures. Coffee stain? You need Efferdent. Efferdent? It's the tablet I use. Watch. It's turning blue. That means Efferdent bubbles are scrubbing away at stains and odor. When the blue disappears, dentures are clean. I'll try it. Coffee? Aren't you on the wrong land, Pete? Not since I got behind Efferdent.
Efferdent removes stubborn stains between teeth in minutes.
There's a headache out there waiting for you. When the pain comes, be ready for it with Bufferin. This illustrates by the time most of Bufferin is going to your headache, most of plain aspirin is still in your stomach. And with Bufferin, there's less chance of stomach upset, too. Be ready for your next headache with Bufferin. Faster to your headache, better for your stomach.
If
If men were all the same and all they wanted was a really well-built shoe for the lowest possible price, we'd have it easy at JCPenney. But men are anything but all the same. So this is what we've done. We've put all our famous JCPenney value into tough harness boots. Handsome side zip boots, just $18.99. New looks like high heels, two-tones, suedes, hikers from $12.99, and hundreds more. Each one built as if it were the only JCPenney shoe. No matter who you are, we know what you're looking for.
Hi, I'm Marlene Francis, and I'd like to test your judgment. Which of these antacid tablets would you say is stronger? I mean, which do you think settles more of the acid that causes heartburn or indigestion? Well, once again, the biggest is not the best. The smaller Phillips tablet is concentrated, so it's stronger than either of the leading antacid tablets that come in a roll. There is no contest. Phillips tablets are stronger. You'll like them.
In other news, British Prime Minister Edward Heath today ordered a 90-day freeze on all wages and prices in an effort to curb that country's inflation. He said he was forced to implement controls when talks with labor and industry on a voluntary anti-inflation program collapsed. A federal judge in Washington has ordered the government to evict Indian demonstrators from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, where they've been since Thursday afternoon. The Indians are demanding to speak with high government officials about treaties they say have been broken and promises that have not been fulfilled. Today they said they were declaring war on the United States, and they threatened to destroy the building if any attempt was made to retake it. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court upheld a lower court ruling that struck down a law preventing demonstration on the grounds of the Capitol. The justices ruled unanimously that the law was an unconstitutional denial of the right to petition Congress. The court also agreed today to decide whether state aid to non-public schools is always unconstitutional. A post office worker in Bombay, India, was seriously injured today when a letter bomb went off in his hands. It was addressed to Young Canadian Judas, Montreal, Canada. From Beirut, ABC's Peter Jennings reports the letter bomb has a long history in the Middle East conflict.
A great many knowledgeable people here believe that the casualties of the recent past are but an early milestone in a full-scale letter bomb war. This specific kind of warfare has been well known in the Middle East since the days of the British Mandate. It is still widely accepted that the Israelis were the first to use letter bombs in their campaign to drive the British out of Palestine. Now here in Beirut, a new campaign against Palestinians, either working for or connected with the various commando organizations. The man who this letter bomb was intended for is reportedly involved in the arms trade. In the Arab world, it is naturally Israel who is the first accused. But many Palestinians also accuse Jordanian intelligence, which they say continues its campaign to stamp out the resistance. Still, other observers see these death letters as a sometime campaign weapon used between warring commando factions themselves. In recent weeks, Lebanese security has become increasingly concerned with what they suspect is a potential widening of this mini-war. Every letter and parcel in Lebanon is now examined by electronic scanning machines. They are controlled by the army and therefore forbidden to film. But since late October, new gear from Japan and the United States has been rushed into use. The American embassy here now has all its mail scanned, and while nothing has been directed at them, letter and parcel bombs addressed elsewhere turn up almost daily. 4 post office workers were badly injured when a parcel bomb blew up in the sorting room. The bad blood and the ever-present crisis in the Middle East has countless manifestations. The letter bomb is yet another. And because it is so anonymous, it further serves to anger and create danger between Arab and Israeli, between Arab and Arab. Peter Jennings, ABC News, Beirut.
The stock market closed mixed today in heavy trading. Dow Jones Industrials gained less than 1 point, and Standard & Poor's Index lost a fraction. Howard will be back with tonight's comment in a moment.
Come on up with us. See General Electric demonstrate something completely new. Portacolor 2 for 1973. A dramatic demonstration of the brightest, sharpest Portacolor we've ever built. 3 times as bright as ever before. With GE's 100% solid-state chassis. For cooler operation, improved performance, longer life. At General Electric, we build every television as if we were going to use it ourselves.
You get
gave me Italy, Austria, and my beautiful Empress. When will somebody give me something I like?
420 blackbirds? When will somebody give me something I like?
Mr. Gus?
Yeah.
You have all my respect.
When will somebody give me something I like?
High Karate aftershave and cologne. Give him what he likes.
The election campaign has not been exciting, but on the eve of the vote, there's one nice thing I'd like to say about it. Americans deserve credit for it happening at all. Of all man's arts, far the most difficult is politics by consent. And the most difficult part of the art is mastering orderly succession, transition in government. Shakespeare's historical plays have a lot of different themes, but one red thread runs through all of them. They are a dramatic plea to a queen without an heir, Queen Elizabeth, not to let a disorderly succession take place. They illustrate in Henry V the blessings of society when it works, and in the rest of the plays, the evils that beset society when it does not work. 46 times without a break, we have done it successfully, and tomorrow will be the 47th presidential election. In that long time of the 1,000 governments that have existed, not more than a dozen have succeeded at it for any length of years. The only people who've done it as well as we have longer are the British and the Swiss. And the British have fudged a little, suspending elections during both world wars, something we have never done, not even in our Civil War. Alas, a good political system is a little like your liver. You rarely realize what a blessing it was until it goes bad. Well, let's not wait for that to happen. I hope that everybody in earshot will pay his individual compliment to the thing we do best, by going to the polls tomorrow and voting. Harry?
Thank you, Howard. That's tonight's news and a comment. I'm Harry Reasoner. Good night.
When you save your money at a savings and loan, your money does more than just grow. A savings and loan lends out money for homes, and that helps communities grow. We're doing a lot for America, and we want to do more.
Whenever I used to buy slacks, I'd have this little argument with myself. Get something dressy for once to go with that handsome face. Dressy, who cares? Just so long as it's no bother. Get something you can wash. I never could make up our mind until J.C. Penney did it for us. What style, what a crease. And they really give. I love them. And they're washable 412 polyester. Beautiful. And that's all it took. The J.C. Penney slack. Only $13. Only at J.C. Penney.
ABC's formal election coverage tomorrow will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and will continue until the final results are in. This has been a presentation of ABC News. The Baltimore Colts, one-time Super Bowl champions, invade the home turf of the New England Patriots, one of the best young teams in the National Football League, on NFL Monday Night Football later tonight here on ABC.
WSIX-TV, Nashville, Tennessee.
Good evening. In tonight's news, the Supreme Court refuses to hear the Nashville desegregation case. That story is next on Eyewitness News.
This is Eyewitness News, Middle Tennessee's first evening news with Jim Travis, Bob Bell, and Bill Jenkins. Now, here is Jim Travis.
The U.S. Supreme Court has refused to hear an appeal to halt the busing of students in the metropolitan school system. The court, in a brief order, left standing a decision of the U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals that upheld the busing plan ordered by Federal District Judge L. Clure Morton. The busing order involves sending students across town to have a racial balance in Nashville schools. The court gave no reason for its decision.